Hello and welcome to Embrace the Deception. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Alex Rodriguez interview back in 2007 when he denies using performance-enhancing drugs. We're not going to be watching the entire interview. This clip is only about 1 minute and 5 seconds, but in it we see a couple of different signs of deception, and of course we have the benefit of hindsight. We know that he later admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs, so we know that he was lying. So now we can go back and see what are some of the clues we could have seen at the time if we were watching this back then. So let's start at the beginning.
60 minutes, rewind.
For the record, have you ever used steroids, human growth hormone, or any other performance-enhancing substance?
No.
So right there I saw a couple of things. You can pause the video if you want and go down in the comments and tell me what you saw. But I'll tell you what I saw. One, he said no, and he nodded a little. It wasn't a lot, it was just one little nod, but still, she asked him if he had ever used any performance-enhancing drugs, and he said no, with a nod. So when your mouth is saying no, but your head is saying yes, that's incongruency, and that's a big red flag. The other thing we see is a micro-expression of contempt. This corner of his mouth comes out a little bit, like that. I probably exaggerated it a little bit, but I'll play it again so you can see it. Right there. So watch this corner of his mouth right there.
No. 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 No.
That's contempt. So he says no, he nods yes, and he also flashes a micro expression of contempt. Now contempt can mean a couple of different things. It can mean I'm better than you. It can mean pride. You know, if your kid wins a trophy in Little League, you might do the little asymmetrical smile. That's contempt. It's in the family of contempt. So contempt's not always a bad thing. You know, it's good to be proud of your kids. Sometimes you can also do it when you're ashamed. You know, if you did something you weren't supposed to do and someone calls you out, you might be like, yeah, you know, I did that, and show a little bit of contempt. So I think that's what we're seeing here. Did you ever use performance-enhancing drugs? He says no, and flashes a micro expression of contempt.
Or any other performance-enhancing substance?
No.
Have you ever been tempted?
I'm not sure if that little twitch meant anything. He could just be nervous because he's being interviewed about breaking the rules. It also could be that he's nervous because he's lying, or it could just be, you know, a nervous twitch that a lot of people have. So it may or may not mean anything.
To use any of those things?
No.
Why not?
So here, he's asked if he has ever been tempted to use performance-enhancing drugs.
No.
And he leans back a little bit. Now, he could just be thinking, have you ever been tempted? Let me think about that. No. But leaning back could also be distancing. He's trying to get away from the lie, or away from the question that he's about to lie about. And then he also flashes another micro expression of contempt after that.
Have you ever been tempted to use any of those things?
No.
Head goes back, a little bit of contempt.
No.
See, right there.
No.
Why not?
You can see the tension release at the end there. This one's a little harder to see. It's more subtle.
Why?
But it's right there. It's tense right there. And it's uneven. This corner is out a little further. And when I play it again, you'll see that tension release.
Why not?
So that's another micro expression of contempt. Have you ever been tempted to use it? Avoiding and contempt.
I've always been a big kid. You know, it's funny, when I came up as a player, a lot of people thought I would be too big to play shortstop. Getting big and being stronger was never my problem. I've never felt overmatched on the baseball field. I've always been in a very strong, dominant position. And I felt...
There was another little bit of contempt, but there was also something else. You can go down in the comments and tell me if you saw it. I'll play it again.
I've never felt overmatched on the baseball field. I've always been in a very strong, dominant position. And I felt
So what I'm seeing here is a one shoulder shrug
on the baseball field, I've always been in a very strong, dominant position.
right there. When he says, I've always been in a very strong, dominant position, that shoulder goes up a little bit.
Matched on the baseball field, I've always been in a very strong, dominant position.
When there's a one shoulder shrug, that means you don't have any confidence in what you just said. And it's not 100%, but it is a very reliable sign of possible deception. So,
Been in a very strong, dominant position.
I've always been in a very strong, dominant position. You know, he's one of the top players in the world, but he still showed a little bit of deception when he said he's always been in a very strong, dominant position. He never felt like being big and strong was never a problem for him.
I've never felt overmatched on the baseball field. I've always been in a very strong, dominant position.
Not
and I
true.
felt that if I did my work, since I was rookie back in Seattle, I didn't have a problem competing at any level. I'm just trying to do the best I can with the ability that God gave me. And I can't.
There's contempt again. This one was not as fast and fleeting as the other ones. It's easier to see.
Stress enough how blessed I am that I do what
There was another micro expression of contempt there. Watch the corner of his mouth.
that I
Right there. Right there. That's contempt.
can't stress enough how blessed I am that I do what
So there it was
I
again.
do with
And again, I think there's like 3 of them. Let me go back and just make sure I'm not double counting these, but
any level. I'm just trying to do the best I can with the ability that God gave me. And I can't
There's
stress
one.
enough how blessed I am that I
There's
do what
another.
I do with
And there's another.
what God gave me.
And then there's what we call a macro expression. The ones that last a half a second or less, sometimes as little as a 25th of a second, are called micro expressions. But when you do it like, that's a macro expression. You're not trying to hide that one at all. So he says he's just trying to do the best with the gifts that God gave him. And does that look like the face of an innocent person? Not to me. So he displays the contempt micro expression many, many times throughout this very short clip. 1 minute and 5 seconds. Not even 1 minute and 5 seconds. We're at the end here. And 1 minute and 2 seconds. Not including the little intro at the beginning and some of the B-roll of him hitting baseballs. So in less than a minute, he displays a micro expression of contempt, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times. And then, of course, there was the head nod saying yes when his mouth was saying no. I never took performance-enhancing drugs. And then the one shoulder shrug, but a lot of signs of contempt over and over again with the contempt. Anyway, that's it for this video. So if you like it, please leave a thumbs up, a comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.